Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are back for Summertime Rendering, episode 2. I have here Matt and Lucas. What's going on, gentlemen?
What's going on, Sam? Glad to be back.
We just got done doing our after show for Spy Family, episode 3. Go and check that out. We did it live. It's actually pretty cool. We're going to talk about this crazy show. Coming off of the last episode, we realized we have kind of a ReZero situation where the main character obviously has the ability of being able to go back, but we don't know the context. We don't know how or the why. We just know that this is an inherent ability, as well as they keep focusing in on his eye at all times. But from this point in the beginning of the episode, he understood that, okay, maybe it was a dream. But then there were certain things that he recalled it was just too precise. Namely, the moment where I think it's Mio goes down same exact path and goes right into the water the same exact way. And of course, he finds the girl with the glasses in the very opening shot. The difference with that, I was going to ask y'all, like, was it a little bit different? The first time when, in the second episode, he didn't have this long, drawn-out conversation with her as he did the first time, right? Because the first time I felt like he was like, I'm sorry, and it was a slap. Yeah. And I don't think she ever interacted with him at all. And he went through this twice.
Are we allowed to comment yet, or?
Oh, completely spoilers. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, yeah. That was my thought too, but I was also thinking that there's a lot to the conversation we actually didn't see. It depends on how it was cut and how it was edited, because they could have literally just been like, skip to that part where he gets slapped and where he moves away from her. But maybe we're now starting to see more of what actually that conversation should have been or had been the day before.
Yeah, so, or kind of like a variation of
variation, yes. I can't really say for sure whether or not that conversation did happen or didn't happen.
Right. Yeah, because in the first episode, I think they cut to it, right? Like we heard the slap, but we didn't see anything else. And then we see him by a pole or something standing up.
Yeah, he's kind of talking to himself. Yeah, exactly.
So it could have been, as Matt said, the same full conversation. We just didn't see it. But here, they felt the need to show that there was a full conversation. I think that's more important, that they felt the need to extend that out possibly to show us more of an interaction than we possibly got the first time.
Right. And the weird thing is that she kind of, he presented to her like, you ever been shot before? I think that's one of the things he asked her.
Yeah.
And like, her response wasn't like, get away from me, you're crazy. Like, she was kind of like, are you okay? And then he was kind of like trying to have a small little conversation with. It seemed like it was, the weird thing is that she gave off the vibe to me that she knew a lot more than what she was letting on. And we saw her a couple different times in this episode. We saw her just randomly hanging upside down, talking to somebody. And I still don't really know what that was about, but it was kind of like she was assessing the ground. She was assessing what was going on the island. One of you guys, I feel like last week said maybe something going on with the island that's created an atmospheric situation like this. I can't remember if it was you, Lucas, or if it was Matt. But do you guys have any theories behind her involvement in it? Because we're going to eventually get into, his deaths, his couple different deaths in this.
It seems like she was an agent trying to find out. As the episode goes on, we understand that these things are shadows that's coming out and doing the things to people. It seems she already knows about these things.
Yep.
And when she's hanging upside down, and she said the blood rushes to your head and it makes you think better. Please, no one try that. It does not make you think better to rush all the blood to your head. Let you know that up front. But it seems like she's there attempting to stop them because she knows that they exist. So even when we see her later on at the funeral, and we clearly see the flash at the funeral, which means it's a shadow there.
Right.
And she followed that shadow to that funeral. So I think it's just her assessing the situation and trying to come up with, okay, we know they're here. How do we stop them? And it kind of makes sense when she said, I made a mistake in the first episode when she was dying. and the mistake was possibly not informing him of what was after him.
Right.
Or maybe she and what I was talking to with Shannon earlier when we were watching the episode. First of all, we were mad because like when we were starting to settle in, you know, the episode, we started to get good with the story. I'm like, all right, bad, all right, nice. The story's starting to kick up. They cut off to the scene with the ocean. I'm like, are you serious? Like right now, like I'm getting real comfortable with the episode. But but what we said, what we were thinking about too, because we were having a little conversation earlier. We were like, okay, maybe she intercepted something she wasn't supposed to at that time. Maybe she noticed Mio. Maybe Mio was kind of like a. I was about to say something. I was about to make an Attack on Titan comparison, but I ain't gonna say it yet. Just in case Lucas does watch it. But let's just say she was. You never know. Time is an unpredictable thing. You never know. Here we are, right? Here we are talking about two animes, Lucas.
Right, like Lucas said, I will never look at an anime.
One, but two, you never know. Right? Like I said, Master Oogway said, the past, yesterday, is history. Tomorrow, a mystery. Today is a gift. That's what they call it, the present. Okay? You don't know. Tomorrow, a mystery. Listen to Master Oogway. I think he stole it from Eleanor Roosevelt.
Yes, because I've heard that quote before.
Yeah. but to get back to Summertime Rendering, to go back to the lady with the glasses, I think she is just interfering. She, at that moment in the first episode, she interfered where she shouldn't have, because we've seen her in this one. She was kind of like hiding a lot. No one knew where she knew where she was. Except for the one time she came off the boat, she seemed like she was blending in. She had a suitcase, and after that, she was gone. She was like a leaf ninja in Naruto. She was just out there, just hiding. So, I don't know. And the question I also have about her too, which I know you'll probably bring up, Sam, is, how she obviously knows something, but how much does she know, and is she actually working with what's his name? Shinpei? Is his name Shinpei? I keep forgetting his name. Shinpei. Is she working with him? Do they know each other, but she can't say anything to him yet in a certain way? Maybe she can't trigger. Maybe she can only trigger certain things out of him. I don't know, because she was also following them too.
Yep.
So is she supposed to look out for him, and maybe that's why she messed up, because the shadows weren't supposed to even get that far? Maybe she's a bodyguard. I don't know. I'm talking too much. Somebody cut me off.
No. I think you're going down the right path here. It may be she that knows him, or she knows of the shadow that killed you. I'm not going to say her name right. I'm just throwing out there. Ushio. Maybe she knows that shadow appeared and killed her. So she just automatically assumes, if you're coming back, I need to follow you to get more information about what's going on here.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense, because
now that's the interesting part here, because is she involved in his time loop? Because we know he's in the time loop, and Milo is clearly not in the time loop, because she is not picking up on anything that's happening.
Nothing.
So is he in this time loop on his own? Who else could possibly be in this time loop with him?
Yeah, I mean, well, not even just that. Like, what if there are other people that are in time loops as well? Like, she could have been in her own time loop, presumably, possibly as well. This is the weird thing. So we got to talk about, like, his first death. So he decides to go and trace back, and like, all right, I'm going to get some proof. I'm going to prove that, and I don't know why he thought some proof would help him. I'm going to record, this shadow and, get a recording of what's going on.
Hold on. And the recording was a second death. Wasn't it?
The recording was the second death.
Yeah, the recording wasn't. He died before he did the
first death. Was a
shock. He went outside.
He just went outside following, and then he see the cop get killed by Milo, which is weird, because that actually rings in the first episode when we see Milo just staring.
Isn't her name Mio?
Mio.
Yeah.
I'm like Milo.
Yeah, we were saying Milo all last.
Yeah, that's why I said Milo. It's Mio.
No, you're right, because initially we knew for the first episode she was standing outside, and we didn't know. Like you said, it was kind of like a jump. It was a jump. Like, we never saw what she did in that interaction with the
Or
cop.
that is not her.
Right. We didn't know. We had
Yeah.
no idea if it was the shadow or if it was her. But now we know that, of course, it was the shadow. She killed the cop. And then a shadow, came back. But this is the weird thing, though. Like, when he saw this happen, like, he was like, oh, flip, I got to get out of here. And all of a sudden, his tail was dead. Like, his tail was dead as grass. And, like, the next time, I can't remember, though, when he came back at a different point.
He came back at the point on the dock. He didn't come back from the beginning of the boat.
Right.
So
Which was weird.
But then that's when he saw.
Yeah, right here.
Yo, theory. Now this
and
might
I'm
be a little out
wondering
there.
why he didn't come back on the boat, but now he came back to the point where Mio was coming down. Because I think that Ushio said to him in the first episode, save or protect Mio.
Yeah, save Mio. Yeah, protect Mio.
Yeah.
And so then this time around, he decides to jump in front of Mio and take the hit, which I don't know if that was a good idea or not.
This time, as he's transitioning back to the beginning, she catches him again in the time stream, and they have a short conversation where she said the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But in turn, it places him at a different point instead of placing him back on the boat.
My theory wheels are turning.
What's up?
So, as we were talking about all this, and I was thinking about the snapshot, the first thing that came to me was 3 things: Hunter x Hunter, Sword Art Online, and The Matrix. Is this a computer world? Is it a game? Is it a process thing? Because we have summertime render. Something's being rendered every single time, right? And even in the way that the shadows form, you see pixels on them.
It is
as they start to form.
You definitely do.
And you see a flash, and you hear a picture from the Foley guys, whoever made the picture sound. You hear that.
Oh, a photo being rendered.
A photo being rendered.
Something scanned.
Something being scanned. Out. Is this sort of like an SAO, like jumping into a virtual world, kind of like Matrix situation where they are not necessarily real in the sense that their physical bodies are not the ones being messed with, but their minds itself is what's being messed with. Maybe they're all connected to, maybe they was on a mission and the mission went sideways and we're only getting looped at this one specific spot.
So this is the thing that's a good tagline for that is the old man. The old man and his story talking about how this was something that used to happen and it would affect people's minds. I think he also said that people that were like coming back from the war, something to that effect, that was connected to that because of the island. So it's possible, and we don't know. We do. Wait, hold on. Let me look at that timestamp. It's July 22nd. It's just weird because that whole conversation with that old man, it would lead me to believe what you're saying is absolutely correct. But I don't know how far this goes because we don't know where these things actually came from, where they derive from.
Maybe there are aberrations in the programming,
right?
Like Mr. Smith on the Matrix,
like Agent Smith,
right?
You know, because I'm just thinking, summertime render, it's being rendered, or are these computers? That's the one thing that just keep. Are they like some type of android that's because they move like robots? They don't move like spiritual beings.
They definitely do.
They don't move like paranormal
creatures,
right? Or like spiritual entities in these types of stories, right? Who just seem to have a very evil kind of presence. It seems like, especially when Mio was talking and the way how he, the cop assimilated the not only the physical presence of the other one, but also his memories as well. It's like an android or some type of robot that's like, okay, I'm this is my name, I do this. Okay, I understand.
And then he picked up on his language and how he would speak.
And you can see she was emotionless. It seems like a robot or robots that are trying to be real But they can't be. And there's another thing I saw recently. I can't remember exactly what it was. That's very similar with androids. I can't remember what it was, man. I don't really fully remember. It'll come back to me as we talk. But these androids that are trying to be real, and they're not. Man, it's bugging me.
And because they can't be real, they're becoming the people, killing them off, and then taking over for them.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, based on the cop being there last episode, it would have alerted suspicion if he didn't continue to maneuver the way he was doing. So this is the thing. So let's take Matt's theory to face value, because we could talk around, like, you know, how it ended abruptly with Mio, like having the conversation, the revelation, but I think that these theories are more interesting. So the reason why I couldn't put in my head the theory working because of the old man. The old man was talking about how this used to happen before. But if we take that same concept, like that these entities are alien potentially, then technology could be in the fray too.
See, but keep in mind, what the old man can bring up can still be true while still not relating to this. The old man can be bringing up a myth of what, as any township, anything with old people, it's legends that exist there. So what happens if they're using the point that this legend does exist to create this false reality? Because if we think about it, how did Miho get rid of the cop? She touched him. He just turned to dust. How the hell would that humanly possibly happen?
Is magic involved in this? This is a magic anime. Because, I remember what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about Blade Runner. I'm thinking about replicants.
Yes.
The way how replicants operate. With the sense of, am I human? Like, what does it really mean to be a human? The way how they were just moving was just giving me...
Or AI.
AI, right? Like, it's giving me, like, unconscious but conscious beings, sentient beings, or beings that are attempting to be sentient. You know, what's the issue with that? And the whole thing with the old man, to me, sorry, Sam, I didn't mean to rush you there. I was just saying, the thing with the old man for me is that if this is a virtual creation, we're in a virtual space, he could just be a story. He can just be an NPC. That's supposed to just roll up and just say what he got to say.
He could, but this is the thing. With Mio and main character having the conversation.
Shinpei.
He asked her, who is the old man? And she said to him, this is who this is. Like, he's been here for X amount of years. I don't know why he wouldn't know who that old man is if he used to live there. Like, that old man's got to be older than him. So why wouldn't he have
maybe that wasn't... Could that be that... Was that the actual real Miho he was having the conversation with at that time?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way of really knowing until we kind of get the whole entire thing. Was that old man there just to give him comfort? If we think about it like an AI or a program, certain things would be inserted in that program to make you feel comfort, to bring you back to a point of saying this is a legend instead of the truth that's directly in front of him. And every time he dies, it's coming back like a video game.
Yeah.
It is.
And the way how he plays out his memories too.
Yes. All of it's coming back like a computer system.
Because I said it last episode that every single time he was about to have like an anxiety moment, he would calm himself completely down and just keep it moving. And even when how he died in this one, he kind of came back and he was like freaking out, anxiety ridden. He just kind of calmed himself back and can continue to move forward. But I don't know, man. Like with ReZero, one of the things I loved about that series is that every single time he died, he felt every bit of it. And he also had to deal with the trauma of continuously dying in the way that because he felt it. And like it actually happened for him. And he's pertaining to all these different memories every single time he's dying. And he's coming back at different points. But he doesn't know who he can really trust. I was going to ask you guys, as far as his eye, I mean, I said it last time, but I don't know if you guys would agree or disagree. Does that look like Ushiro's eye to you guys? Does that not look like her eye?
No, it does. That was one of the things I was thinking about too. Was what did she? Because she said I gave you a gift. So did she give him her eyes? That was something I did think about for sure. And it's crazy because he only just noticed it in this episode too, that his eyes was different. He's like, wait a minute, what the heck? My eyes is not right.
Exactly.
So
I don't know with her giving him that, what does that actually mean? And how is it and why is it that she was able to give him something post her death? You know,
and also too, when the cloned cop or the shadow cop was like, oh, so why don't you just copy him or whatever he said? And Mio was gonna say he's already what?
Yeah. That was the key part. Because that's why she said they didn't copy him, because he was already something. So like he's already been copied, or he is a copy.
Or he can't be copied.
But
off her saying he's already, that wouldn't be he's already something, so we can't recopy him. What happened is if he is one of the shadows.
I think that'd make the most sense. And that would make the most sense why he's able to keep coming back too.
Yeah, that makes sense too. I mean, it's man, my brain about to go crazy now because like everything I'm thinking about, it's like every time I think, I'm like, okay, I can see where this is going. But now we're theorizing all these different weird things because what's the importance of Mio? She can't just be this one person that we're just saving just because we like her and she's this cutesy little person that we love. Like that's not. I don't think.
What is the purpose of her needing to live?
Exactly. Why is she important? Yeah, exactly. Like it's why is she the chosen one? Like what's happening here? We know that that's her little sister or whatever, but why is it so important to save this girl? Why is she so important? And why am I going through all this trouble for everybody just to save your little sister and you're not even here? What's happening? How important is this family? And then we can't even forget the family that dipped.
Yes,
there's still
just disappeared.
Many questions. Yes,
yeah, and no one knows why they disappeared. Like that's highly important to bring up because those are things we have to wonder. We have to get an understanding of. Okay, so if this family just disappeared, why did they disappear? If Miho is this important, why is she this important? Why does he have two sets of eyes? Why is it that they said they couldn't duplicate him?
Yeah, that like what's the whole?
But the point you can't duplicate him, but you can still kill him.
Maybe he's a nuissance because she's always she's like Shinpei, nice to run into you here. I wasn't expecting to run into you. Right
here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was like rendered.
A little bit with your voice, it sounds like you're being rendered.
Yeah, it sounds like you're being rendered a little bit. No, but like she rolls up and was like, Shinpei, funny seeing you here.
Exactly.
It's like, how many times did she kill this dude? Is he how big of a nuisance? He's like a hindrance to them. He keeps on stopping their plans, whatever Mio or this specific shadow, whatever plan they have, he's getting in the way of it. And they don't like that. And I'm trying to also think about it too, like y'all seen Peacemaker? Y'all finished? I know Sam. I know you finished Peacemaker. Did you watch Peacemaker, Lucas?
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't look at the very last episode, but I saw everything else.
But you know everything about Mern, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a situation with Mern. Like Mern was a butterfly, and was like, well, freak this. I'm not trying to do this no more. Like
he didn't fully agree with the other butterflies.
Yeah, I don't agree with y'all.
Which could be Shinpei not agreeing with the other shadows.
Exactly. He could be a butterfly situation like with Mern and be like, y'all tripping. We can't keep doing this. And maybe he goes to contact that lady with the glasses. Maybe he goes to contact her and be like, look, you guys got to help us. So maybe that's when they start to bring in these agents to try to come and help.
And then maybe, is it Ushio? Am I saying the name right?
Ushio,
I think. Maybe
Ushio,
she and him are both shadows who don't necessarily agree with what's going on with the other shadows. That's why he can constantly talk to her when he goes back in time. And that's why they want him to say Miho.
But okay, so all that, say that's all true. I don't know that at this point in time, if this is supposed to be like 2022 or 2024, that kind of technology would even exist.
What you mean, though?
I'm saying I would more believe that this is alien nature than this being something that's in present. Because it's too elaborate, it's too constructed.
But it's like anime, right?
I have a counter to that. I have a counter to that, though. You know why that I think is irrelevant? Because look at Back to the Future.
I'm about to say,
look at Back to the Future. They thought that we would have flying cars in the year 2020, and that we would have all these hoverboards and all these crazy stuff. So that timeline doesn't necessarily have to be parallel to our human real life timeline. 2022 in this universe, in this dimension, even in the multiverse, any type of multiversal concept, the timelines don't necessarily have to match. So even if we look at something like this anime, I mean, look at this gun this man got on. You see this nail gun looking water gun shooting. Like it probably shoots water nails for all we know. We don't know. Like,
and then I know they give the date, but do they give the year?
It might be in Japanese if you just can't see it. I don't know, but I mean, either way,
I don't know. I don't know.
But I think with it being an anime or just like any other form of media, just because that doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be overly realistic.
Because I mean, if we look at like Dr. Stone, is another cool anime. The whole premise of that is that this is really smart guy. It's probably the smartest person in the entire world. Maybe like, I don't know, like 17 or whatever, high school kid. Something happens and everybody gets turned to stone. It's like a cataclysmic event. Everybody gets turned to stone, but he wakes up all of a sudden and 3,000 years pass by. And now they're back in the Stone Age. Technically, they should be in the year like 3035 or something like that, right? So, I mean, Einstein said it best. Time is relative, man. Like, it doesn't really matter if it's, 2022 or 2014, at least unless the rules are already set up in place for the anime, and we already don't have those world-building rules yet because we're only in episode 2.
Yeah.
Like, there's only so much we can really go off of unless they say, hey, like this is, or this other movie I watched, it was like specifically said it's 1981. So 1981, America, United States, we already kind of know what's going on. We can't expect to see certain things, So that's just the way I'm viewing that.
I'm trying to think. Was there anything else in this episode that we needed to talk about?
Everything.
I think that was it. I think we went through everything.
Because the little girl, how long you trying to make this conversation? Because
the episode kind of stopped, and we never got to the point of. Well, no. I think it just stopped because we never got to the point of figuring out what happened to the little girl and her family. We presume that they died because of the shadows. We don't know.
Though, we presume that, but we don't necessarily know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they were shadows,
there could be a whole shadow clan.
So this is the thing. The only reason why I don't think the first episode, the little girl was a shadow, is because she was just dead. Like, I would assume that if it was a shadow, like, she would have been trying to blend in. Like, she would have been crying. She would have been maybe emoting, trying to
overacting,
keeping with the. She was in complete trauma and shock.
If she took over the girl's body. Because keep in mind, we see Miho's shadow can't immute because she hasn't taken out Miho yet.
True.
Yeah, that's true. She only copied her physical form.
So if she just copied her physical form and the family's not dead yet, wouldn't she just be able? Or if she died before, she could emote. So what happens if actually she never saved the little girl?
Mm-hmm. What if they actually saved? Yeah.
And this is her shadow. Then her shadow wouldn't be able to pick up on anything because she was never able to pick up on the kid's emotion.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good point.
What happens if a shadow can't pick up your emotion before they can take you over? Because clearly we see, especially from Mio's shadow, is that they don't need to wait for you to die for them to take you over.
They can just straight up kill you and copy you.
Yeah. But if you die before they can copy you, what happens to them?
There's no
at that
data.
point, they don't get your memories. They don't get
no data
the way
to
you
transfer.
act. So then the little girl, the way she's acting will make perfectly good sense. Because
so
she's
you're
just a
saying
means
that
to an end.
So you're saying that
The little girl possibly killed her brother, killed her mother and her father, and a little girl escaped. Because then it would make it seem like the family disappeared.
Did die and didn't get saved.
Yeah, she didn't. She never got saved. Her. Neither one of them ever got saved.
That makes sense. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
This is not as serious, but it could be more to the seriousness of it. I know. I know what I said didn't even make sense, but it makes sense. It's the thing. I'm. This is one of those shows where I'm like paying attention to every single thing, even the little cheesy, like fan servicey moments that they always throw in with Mio. That scene with her in the shower, it's weird, but like, anyways, so. Because you gotta remember the age group. I think they're really targeting this to like a younger audience too. So you do have to keep that in mind. We're just adults here watching this, but it probably is for younger teens. But anyways, those scene with her in the shower, her reaction to Shinpei, as you touched on in the last episode review, was that she obviously has like some type of girl crush. Or something on him. How does that happen? What is their actual history? What's the story behind that? This is not like just some first day I see him and I love. Like she has like a genuine love for this guy, right? It's not like I think he's cute or something. Like this is the actual love for this character. As you can see, I mean, anybody would be embarrassed if you walk in the shower, but her actual reaction to that and the way how she displays emotions towards him in the other scenes tells me that they have some type of connection. So, and obviously I don't think he necessarily remembers that or at least sees that from her perspective in a way. But what's going on with that? How much of that is real? How much of that is just a fabrication? There's some type of story behind their connection as a whole too.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like to me that she always had like some real emotions for him, but the big sister was always in play, and he probably was much closer to the big sister. I'm not sure if he had like an actual relationship with the big sister, but I think that it was almost like she always probably pawned over him, and he just never reciprocated or even paid it any mind or attention. And I don't think he still does at all. I think he looks at her like legit, like his little sister.
Like a little sister, yeah, exactly.
And I think that's it. I think that's really it. Which I'm glad, because it'd be really weird if he just all of a sudden started like, that'd be just weird. So I'm glad it's like that. But yeah, no, I think you're right. There's something to that. There's something to
especially from her. It's not even so much his reactions to her. Because like we said, like first of all, we don't even, I would assume that, I don't know, maybe he's like late teens, like early young adulthood, maybe. That's what I would assume.
But there's just no telling.
Yeah, we don't even, because like my wife and I were trying to figure it out. We're like, yo, how old are these people? Like, what's going on here? Like, they never even specify. It's freaking weird. Like, we even looked it up online. There's no answers. So it's weird, but anyways, the point I'm really trying to bring with that is it's not so much necessarily his reaction to her. Yeah. You see, man, look. Anyways, bro. It's weird. It's not so much his reaction to her. I mean, we're gonna address it because it is. I mean, sometimes they do this in anime a lot. And you can tell when they do it when the audience is like for 14, 15-year-olds. You can tell when they're addressing it to 15-year-old boys. That's been a conversation for a very long time when it comes to anime and how they handle situations like this. But the point I'm trying to make is not so much his reaction to her, it's her connection to him.
Right.
that is what I'm more curious about. Because like we said, you know, he sees her as a little sister. We can see that. Mm-hmm. That's evident. But they're not. I don't think the writers are just throwing that in there just to be fan servicey or like try to create some weird romance thing. Like there's a genuine connection there.
Yes.
And I want to know what that is and where that stemmed from. It's not just like a little crush. There's something behind that. So, and I think I think that will open more of the actual story and the connection with the three of them too. Because they did mention that he did grow up with Ushio.
Yep.
That his parents died and he grew up with her. So those are just all the questions that are running through my head. I'm paying attention to every single little detail. The flash, every conversation they had, the way they had the conversation. Even to him noticing that the brakes were like cut.
Wait, hold on. Some don't add up. Why is it so? Okay, I'll say this. When this part right here, which is the very last, line delivery that was given by Mia, I was like, that's so redundant. Like, what's the point? Like, we ascertained that one, somebody strangled her. She probably got murdered based on the autopsy. Like, this is redundant information. Like, why are they readdressed? Like, oh wow, like maybe the shadow killed her. But in thinking about it like this, if the shadow did kill her, why wouldn't the shadow still be acting as though Ushio? Like, why wouldn't she just kill her, vaporize her, and keep her memories?
I mean, it's weird. It's a good question. That's a good question because it's like we clearly see Ushio in the funeral, unless the AI shadow is pretending to be dead to cover the fact that the real Ushio is actually dead.
But
they
why?
Need to have a body.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, at the end of the day, if she was strangled, if she actually really was strangled, I'm trying to think about it. So she died supposedly from drowning. Is that what it initially was? She died of drowning?
Initially was drowning.
Initially was
strangled, yeah.
But then they noticed the strangle marks around her neck, so they knew it wasn't just a simple drowning.
So meaning that most likely what happened was this then. She cornered her, she strangled her in the water, but then there was people coming around, so she couldn't just take the data quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that she would still be existing somewhere. Just maybe the theory of the little girl.
But what? Now I'm thinking. Now
I'm saying? Like the body is if she's dead, then that means that where is Ushio's shadow?
Now I'm thinking though.
Because the shadow was on top of the mountain at one point in time.
Yeah.
But did the shadow ever get to her to pick up everything it needs to pick up to duplicate her?
Can the shadows take on multiple forms? Because what I'm trying to think about now is what if the Ushio shadow is actually Mio's shadow? Because remember, Mio said she saw her, right? We also said she saw her. So maybe that shadow was like, you know what? Let me just switch up real quick. Hide in plain sight. Get rid of Ushio. Get rid of Mio. Right, and then maybe because look, obviously Ushio is super important. There's something about her that's important. So maybe at the end game for this shadow is that he or she or whatever, they need to get Ushio's body in the end.
Yes,
because there's something about her. Maybe it's her eyes that have some power, or something in her brain that they need. So maybe they'll take on another form to kind of hide in plain sight. And the only way to hide in plain sight to get close enough to the body is to get rid of the real ones. So they get rid of Mio, and obviously the cop saw it, so he was an accessory. So
and there's something going on with Shinpei that they don't need to get rid of him because he's something already.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's just so strange because initially the first episode, I presumed that it was only one darn shadow. And the shadow was, after it killed one person, it would just transform to another one. But then when the cop came into the play and you realize, okay, it's a duplicate for everybody, it threw off my thought process about what happened to Ushio. I really don't know, and I think that's good storytelling because I have no. It's either one, Ushio is still alive, or the Ushio shadow is still out at large, and I don't know what their direction.
And we haven't seen the shadow. Only Miho saw the shadow for a minute.
Right. It was just for a second. It was just for, and matter of fact, it looked like it was kind of forming. Like they kind of looked up and they saw it in the sun, which I don't know why the shadow would show its darn self in the sun in front of both of them. That didn't make any sense either. Like, why would it show itself? Why would it show itself to them? None of the shadows
it's like
open in plain sight for no reason.
So then would that go back to our theory that this is a shadow that is rebelling against whatever system's in place?
Breaking code.
That's
crazy.
Maybe he wanted to be seen.
There you go.
Maybe he wanted to be seen.
So how? Okay, yeah. You know what? This show.
I'm trying to say, how long you trying to make the conversation?
We need to stop this. We need to stop this because 40 minutes in, the show is on. This episode is only 22 minutes, 20 minutes top. So
that's how you know it's good, though. So you know it's good.
I haven't seen this episode since Thursday. I never re-looked at the episode. So the fact that I'm still going like over this in my head is crazy. Okay, yeah, let's stop. Just stop. Y'all got any closing thoughts before we dip?
No, because if I do, we're gonna start another theory. So
there you go.
That's all for me.
We just need to get to the point finding out what the heck is going on here, because there's just so much stuff going on here. But again, it does a good job at leaving these things open for you to attempt to interpret exactly what's going on here. Because again, we are kind of still a little lost here as we're trying to figure out exactly what's going on. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Just because it keeps the conversation moving exactly what's going on with this show.
Right. I hope what I'm hoping is that the show really is as smart as we're giving it credit for. Because it's coming off as a really smart, really intelligent, really well-written type of show. So I'm hoping that the payoff is worth it in the end. Because I've been betrayed before from some anime and some shows by giving it a lot of faith and be like, yes, man, this is it. This is the one. And then next thing you know, we get to the end and I'm like, what did you guys do? But like the Flash was a big show. I gave way too much credit for being a huge Flash fan, but we're not going to talk about the Flash.
Lucas, this man Matt put the Flash on the map. Honestly.
So you saying you didn't like the lightsaber battle at the end of season 7?
You know what? I almost went right to the outro. So you said this.
Just press the outro, but you know what?
Seriously about to.
Lucas, the Flash is what gave my channel its start. When I first started doing this thing, my mother and I sat in our couch because we would watch the Flash. I watched a lot of stuff from my mom, Knight Rider, all the classics, Magnum PI, everything, all the old TV detective shows, and we were watching the Flash. And then she had some great reactions, and I had some great reactions. I'm like, Mom, we got to do something with this. So I took my camera out, and I filmed, and we did the Flash, and that's what really put me on the map. So the type of betrayal that I felt is a real type of betrayal. Okay, we were here making Flash videos every single week. Yeah, there we are. That's my mama. That's me and Mom. Watching, I don't know what season that was. Season 5.
That's just what happens when a show goes on too long.
Too long, man.
That's all it is. And eventually you lose ways to like form credible storylines.
It got to a point where I couldn't defend it anymore. I think season 7 was the last one we saw last year, and because it got to the point where I asked my mom, I'm like, Mom, I'll do it if you want to do it. I mean, I'll push through, you know. And then she was like, "Yep." That was all I needed to
Hey, but I hear season 8 is really good.
Look, I'm gonna put this one picture up. Put this one picture up, and I'm gonna say this is exactly how Matt felt. He felt as though he was The Rock.
Yes, man. Come on now.
Falling out the top of the my radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on my mind.